Okay, let's talk a little bit about theme because theme is a really hard concept. So we've done some practice in theme and looking at theme through Grassi and Gertie and seeing how a theme can develop between characters. You have a topic like friendship, and then you think through what is the author saying about friendship? What is the evidence that's there? And then you say, oh, maybe it's something like friends can be both independent and dependent on each other, right? Or we can say that friendship does not mean that you lose who you are or your identity, right? These are complex themes and they're in everything that we watch. They're in children's books, they're in all the Pixar movies and Disney movies that we watch. It's kind of this author's opinion on the topic that they are discussing. So as you go to create your own theme, you already have a topic. You've already written about whether it's basketball or about a love for your dog or about a moment that you stood up to someone for a social justice issue. So we already have kind of like our topic that we're going to talk about, but now you have to really think about what is your opinion as a writer and what are you trying to convey to your readers? Yes, these are stories that are, funny and touching our hearts and entertaining, which is part of a narrative. But the other piece is we also tell stories to make a point. So when I think through some of my stories, I'm trying to make a point. I'm thinking through like my one that I just wrote earlier about Black Lives Matters. My point is really that we should all be standing up for this, that we should be doing something about it, whether that's through action, legislative action, or actions in our own communities. Absolutely. Maybe I want to talk about the love story between Adam Stewart and I that I shared with you, which seems like, oh, how do you like connect that to a bigger idea? But I think there's this bigger two things I could do on this one. So one is the bigger idea of like that first love and what it means in our life, because oftentimes what authors do is they put into place these ideas that we think about but we're not able to articulate. And I think about songs doing this all the time. You guys know I'm reading the Tupac book right now, and it is reminding me of I loved his music, and specifically I loved one song because it was about grieving. It was about his friend who had died. And I had experienced death with my dad and brother dying. And he was able to articulate this connection to someone who is gone and how hopefully in another world he would reconnect with them. And I remember listening and that theme really touching me because I too had kind of experienced that. And he was able to put it into words, which is what authors do for us. So I think about that love story that I wrote with Adam Stewart, trying to put into words those moments in our lives that really fashion who we are and how it makes us view the world differently. And thinking back on it, and if you go back and look at that story at the end, I think about what a hard life Adam had. His mom was always yelling at him. He was outside all the time, which I didn't think about as a child, but now as an adult, I kind of see that he didn't want to be in his home, and how so many people have homes that aren't comforting, and how perhaps we as community can become someone's home. So thinking about not just the topic in that moment, but what it really tells you about life, what it really tells you about your thinking and your identity, and what it really tells you about the world. So that's what we want to kind of put into our conclusions and being thoughtful. We don't necessarily want our conclusions to wrap up in a nice, neat bow because, as we know, that's not the way life works. So putting into these ideas of theme is really hard, but I really want you to try it. I want you to try to revise and see if you can get your theme into your story to make it have a lasting impact and really affect your audience the way that you want it to.